if a hitter crushes a baseball at like 110 miles per hour at Busch Stadium tonight, it has a statistically massive probability of landing deep in the bleachers.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Right. But if he hits that exact same ball, exact same launch angle, exact same exit velocity down at Tropicana Field, there is a really good chance it just, dies on the warning track for a routine out.
It's totally true. And that's exactly the invisible math we're looking at today.
Exactly. So welcome to a deep dive into today's MLB slate. We are opening up the IntelliGrid data, specifically the premium matchup deck. And our mission today for you is to map out these intersecting lines of advanced metrics, underlying pitcher vulnerabilities, and, well, atmospheric physics.
Because it's not just about the stats in a vacuum, right?
Mm.
We want to show you how these elements combine to create these compounding advantages that, honestly, most casual observers are completely blind to.
Right. And I feel like the challenge with a slate of this size isn't really finding the data. It's filtering out all the noise.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we are looking at a diagnostic landscape here where you have starting pitchers stepping onto the mound with just absolute zero margin for error.
Zero margin.
Yeah, zero. But like you said, a player's statistical profile doesn't operate in a void. Context is the amplifier here. You have to examine the physical environment they're stepping into because, the environment dictates how those underlying metrics will actually behave in reality.
Well, let's jump straight into the foundations of that vulnerability then, because before we even look at the hitters, we really need to map the exact conditions, the targets, that make today's slate so mathematically volatile.
Right. Let's look at the arms.
Yeah, let's pull up the pitchers flashing those zero margin alerts in the system. So I'm looking at Mitch Keller for the Pirates facing Atlanta. He's carrying a 5.02 ERA.
Yeah, sure.
And then we have Griffin Canning for San Diego facing Arizona, sitting with, wait for it, 6.71 ERA. I mean, we are talking about ERAs that fundamentally alter game scripts.
They do. And a high ERA in this specific tier triggers that zero margin alert for a very, mechanical reason.
Right. It's not just bad luck.
No, exactly. An ERA pushing 5 or nearing 7 like Canning's, that isn't a symptom of bad batted ball luck or, poor infield defense. It indicates a systemic failure in pitch execution.
So they're just consistently falling behind in counts.
Precisely. They fall behind, their secondary pitches are flattening out, and then they're basically forced to throw fastballs in super predictable locations just to avoid walking batters.
Which is a nightmare.
Total nightmare. They are walking this statistical tightrope where the margin between a called strike and a barrel is literally a fraction of an inch.
And here is where the data demands that we layer in those environmental factors. Because we can't just look at Griffin Canning's 6.71 ERA and stop the analysis there, right?
No, you have to look at where he's pitching.
Exactly. Let's look at the atmospheric conditions of the stadium. Take the Brewers versus Cardinals game at Busch Stadium tonight. The weather data shows a temperature of 89 degrees Fahrenheit at first pitch. And there's a 5.8 mile per hour wind blowing west.
See, that 89-degree temperature reading, that is arguably the most dangerous metric on the board for a struggling pitcher.
Because of the physics.
Exactly. Heat fundamentally alters the physics of the game. As temperature rises, air density drops. The air molecules literally just spread further apart.
So we're talking about a significant reduction in the drag coefficient on the baseball itself.
Exactly.
It's kind of like driving a golf ball off the tee in the high altitude of Denver versus, doing it at sea level. The ball is going to travel through the air with way less physical resistance.
Right. And it affects the flight of the ball off the bat, giving you an extra, say, 10 to 15 feet of carry on a fly ball.
Right.
Which, as you know, is often the difference between a loud out and a home run.
Absolutely. But doesn't the lower air density also sabotage the pitcher's arsenal?
Oh, completely. Because pitches like sliders and curveballs, they rely on the Magnus effect.
Right. They need the air resistance.
Exactly. They need that friction to grab the seams and create that downward snapping motion.
Yeah.
In thin, 89-degree air, breaking balls just lose their bite. They hang in the strike zone longer.
Wow. So you take a pitcher who is already struggling with command,
Right.
You reduce the movement on his best pitches, and you ensure that any contact made will travel further. I mean, the environment itself literally becomes an offensive weapon.
It really does. It compounds every existing flaw.
So let's contrast that physical reality with the Yankees taking on the Rays down at Tropicana Field. Tropicana Field is a closed roof, indoor stadium.
Right, the dome.
Yeah, the data explicitly flags this as a climate-controlled environment. So the temperature, the humidity, the outdoor wind speed, they are entirely neutralized.
Tropicana Field is essentially a sterile laboratory for baseball. I mean, it isolates the pitcher's mechanics from all the chaos of the natural world.
So no extra carry on the ball.
Nope. If Mitch Keller takes his 5.02 ERA into a climate-controlled dome, his breaking pitches actually maintain their expected movement because the air density is regulated.
That makes so much sense. So a vulnerable pitcher might actually survive a start in a dome because the stadium isn't actively working against him.
Exactly. But you put that same vulnerable pitcher in the 89-degree heat at Busch Stadium. You've compounded his mechanical flaws with just pure atmospheric hostility.
Atmospheric hostility, I like that. Well, let's pivot to the hitters who are mathematically equipped to exploit those hostile conditions. I'm opening up the premium high probability home run report now.
Oh, this is the fun part.
It really is. We are looking for the specific swing profiles that turn these environmental advantages into actual tangible damage.
Because identifying the vulnerability is step one.
Yeah.
Step two is identifying the weapons specifically designed to break it.
Right. So looking at the underlying metrics, Kyle Schwarber of the Phillies is facing off against Brady Singer. Now, Schwarber is carrying a .404 xWOBA and a .322 ISO.
Those are massive numbers.
Seriously. We are looking at elite contact quality combined with just massive isolated power.
And when you take Schwarber's ability to consistently generate, high velocity, optimal launch angle contact, and you pair it with Brady Singer, the math just gets terrifying for the defense.
Because of Singer's home run rate.
Yeah. Singer is currently surrendering 2.19 home runs per 9 innings.
Okay, but I need to challenge the system's ranking here for a second because I'm looking at the data right below Schwarber, and the placement feels objectively wrong to me.
Oh, really? Who are you looking at?
Rafael Flores of the Pirates facing Bryce Elder. Flores actually has significantly higher underlying metrics than Schwarber today.
Let me see.
Yeah, Flores is sitting at a .459 xWOBA and a .333 ISO. I mean, he is making vastly superior contact and generating more raw power than Schwarber right now.
That is a fair point. He's having a great run.
So why is the IntelliGrid flagging the Schwarber matchup as the more explosive, higher probability play when Flores clearly has the better swing metrics? Is it literally entirely based on Singer's 2.19 HR9 rate compared to Elder's 1.09?
Well, yeah, actually, it is.
Wait, really? Just that?
Because the batter's profile is only half the equation.
Okay.
You cannot evaluate a hitter's metrics in complete isolation. You have to evaluate the collision of the hitter's profile with the pitcher's specific tendencies.
Okay, break that down for me.
So Flores is objectively hitting the ball better than Schwarber right now, yes. But Bryce Elder induces ground balls. A 1.09 HR9 means Elder is highly effective at keeping the ball below the hitter's barrel. He drives the ball into the dirt.
So he mitigates catastrophic damage.
Exactly. Brady Singer, on the other hand, is experiencing a total structural breakdown.
Right, because giving up over 2 home runs every 9 innings isn't just a slump.
No, it's a total failure of location. It means Singer is consistently elevating pitches into the power zones of opposing batters.
And Schwarber wants to elevate.
Exactly. Schwarber's entire mechanical philosophy at the plate is to lift the baseball. So when you pair a hitter programmed to hit fly balls with a pitcher who is currently operating as a home run delivery system.
It's explosive.
Right. The collision of those two specific data sets creates a far higher probability of an explosive event than the Flores-Elder matchup. Elder's mechanics suppress the very thing Flores is trying to do. Singer's mechanics actively assist Schwarber.
That distinction is so crucial. We aren't just looking for good hitters. We are hunting for the perfect structural collisions.
Exactly.
Which actually brings us to the apex of the IntelliGrid data for today's slate. The system has isolated the single most mathematically volatile matchup on the entire board, and it's flagged as the critical snipe.
Oh, man, the critical snipe. This is the focal point where all the variables we've been unpacking, pitcher vulnerability, base pad traffic, and hitter tendencies, they all intersect to expose a massive structural flaw.
So we are looking at Salvador Perez, the catcher for Kansas City, facing Sean Nania, the left-handed pitcher for the Mets. Now, Perez's metrics are solid, but they aren't like the astronomical numbers we just saw from Flores or Schwarber.
Right, he's good, but not breaking the scale.
Yeah, Perez boasts a .183 ISO and a .338 xWOBA. But let's look at the other side of the collision. Manaea brings a 4.76 ERA and a 1.35 WHIP against right-handed batters. And the system actually has a literal Zero margin warning attached to this specific at-bat.
And the key to this entire matchup is that 1.35 WHIP, walks and hits per inning pitched.
Right.
A 1.35 WHIP against right-handed batters means Mania is operating in a state of constant distress. He is constantly throwing from the stretch with traffic on the base paths.
Which changes everything for a pitcher.
Oh, completely. Pitching from the stretch alters your timing. It often shaves a mile or two off your velocity, and it forces you to rush your mechanics just to hold runners on base.
Okay, but I'm looking at Manea's peripheral stats, and there is a massive roadblock to this analysis.
That's that.
He has a 25.3% strikeout rate. Yeah.
I mean, striking out over a quarter of the batters you face indicates elite swing and miss stuff, right? How does a pitcher with a 25% strikeout rate get flagged with a zero margin warning? Doesn't that swing and miss ability insulate him from a hitter like Perez?
See, that is exactly why this stuff is so fascinating. That 25.3% strikeout rate, it's a statistical mirage.
Or mirage.
Yeah, it's the exact trap that surface-level analysis falls into. A high strikeout rate is a measure of ceiling, not a measure of stability.
Okay, explain that.
Well, strikeouts generally happen when a pitcher is ahead in the count, executing their sequence perfectly, and usually with the bases empty. But Manea's 1.35 WHIP tells us he does not stay ahead in counts. He allows traffic.
Right.
And when you have runners on base, you can't afford to waste pitches chasing strikeouts in the dirt. You are forced to challenge hitters in the zone to avoid walking the bases loaded.
Oh, wow. So the strikeout rate is completely neutralized by the game script his WHIP creates.
He puts himself in situations where he just has to throw strikes, which means grooving pitches to avoid walks.
And that is exactly why this is the critical snipe. Salvador Perez's specific hitting profile is the nightmare scenario for a pitcher forced to groove fastballs.
Because Perez is so aggressive.
Right. Perez is famously aggressive. He doesn't wait for perfect pitches. He punishes mistakes early in the count. So the system isn't just saying Perez is a good hitter today.
It's saying the matchup is perfect.
Yes. It is telling you that Sean Manaea's tendency to allow traffic and fall behind in counts perfectly aligns with Perez's ability to hunt and destroy fastballs in the zone. Manaea's margin for error is mathematically zero because his structural flaw feeds directly into Perez's primary strength.
It's the compounding fractures, not just the single crack in the glass.
Exactly.
When you apply this methodology, it completely reorients how you evaluate risk and opportunity. And this goes for anything, whether you are analyzing a sports slate, market trends, or logistical data. You aren't just looking for a struggling asset.
Right. You are looking for an asset that is statistically designed to fail under a highly specific set of intersecting pressures.
Beautifully said. The most valuable insights are never found in a single isolated column on a spreadsheet.
No, never. They exist in the spaces between the data points. They exist in the interaction between an 89-degree atmospheric condition, a hanging slider, and a hitter mathematically profiled to elevate that exact mistake.
Well, to map out the journey we just took you on through the IntelliGrid today, we started by identifying the raw mechanical vulnerabilities of pitchers like Mitch Keller and Griffin Canning, guys operating with ERAs that signal serious systemic command issues.
Right.
And then we applied the atmospheric context, exploring how the low air density of an 89-degree day at Busch Stadium strips away the Magnus effect on breaking pitches, which basically acts as a force multiplier for those vulnerabilities.
And then we contrasted that with the sterile, climate-controlled laboratory of Tropicana Field, demonstrating how environment dictates statistical outcomes.
Yep.
From there, we evaluated the premium high-probability home run report. We stripped away the basic stats to look at underlying contact quality with XWOBA and ISO.
Right, and we saw why Kyle Schwarber's flyball profile colliding with Brady Singer's terrifying 2.19 HR9 rate is a mathematically superior event to a hitter with better contact metrics facing a ground ball pitcher.
Exactly. And we culminated with the critical snipe, deconstructing the illusion of Sean Manaea's 25% strikeout rate.
We proved that elite swing and miss stuff means absolutely nothing when a 1.35 WHIP forces you to throw fastballs from the stretch to an aggressive mistake punisher like Salvador Perez.
You know, this deep dive forces us to confront a much broader question about the evolution of the sport itself.
I was hoping you'd bring this up.
Yeah, because we've mathematically proving today that extreme heat and natural weather conditions aggressively expose a pitcher's underlying mechanical flaws. The environment is a brutal, uncompromising stress test.
The ultimate lie detector for a pitcher's command.
Exactly. So if the natural elements are what truly separate elite pitching from vulnerable pitching, What are we doing with these modern closed-roof stadiums?
That is such a good question.
Right. By building climate-controlled domes like Tropicana Field, by completely neutralizing the heat, the wind, and the humidity, we're essentially protecting pitchers from the realities of the game. Are we artificially inflating the statistics of modern pitchers?
Oh, wow.
I mean, we could be looking at a whole tier of major league arms generating brilliant metrics in sterile laboratories, creating an illusion of dominance that would just instantly collapse under the atmospheric pressure of a hot summer night in St. Louis.
Are we engineering a mathematically sterile version of the game that just masks true vulnerability? That
Yeah.
is a phenomenal question to leave you with as you watch these specific matchups unfold today. Analyze the collisions, account for the physics, and we will catch you on the next deep dive into the data.